Hello everyone, welcome to Keystone Academia. Myself, Misbah Saudagar, I am lead tutor for the case study exams at the academia. So today we'll be discussing about strategy case study. So guys, the strategy case study is out for May and August exam. We have a company called Saefwell, as you can see, and you can see this a lock, that gives us a hint. So this is a security company. If you are comparing this to any real world, we can say it's a company like we have ADT based out of US, we have Prosegur in Spain, G4S can be a very good example as well based out of UK. In fact, these are one of the top companies globally. So similarly, Saefwell, the pre-scene this time is for security companies. So let's get started. So as always, we should aware. Otherwise, if you're doing for the first time, let me tell you, this context statement is something which is added by CIMA recently. So what has been happening, we had COVID, then we have a war, then a lot of geopolitical issues are happening globally. So we should not consider same things in our exams. Though your exam is focusing on the real life scenario, but we should give our scenarios or answers based on what is normal, because we might have students answering exam from any part of the world, any corner of the world. So maybe in their geography they might have certain issues, or they might have certain extraordinary advantages that should not be considered. We have to consider a normal scenario when we are answering this question. However, if you want to give an example, you can get marks. Like they have mentioned here, marks in the exam will be awarded for valid argument that are relevant to the questions asked. Okay. The current pre-scene will have the introduction about your role, what you'll be doing, then the industry analysis. So we'll have the basic industry analysis, but later on we'll do a complete industry analysis with the practical companies. Like I told you, the companies of G4S, Prosegur, ADT. We'll see which one is the leading company, what is the market size, how the industry is growing, all of that. Here they have given some basic idea. Let's see that. Then about the company, when it was established, how it worked out, right? Usually they'll give a background when it was founded, then when it got listed, stuff like that. Then we have to see the annual report, the financials, the very important part, because you'll be playing a role of senior finance manager. Then the board of directors. Board of directors means your executives, non-executives. Here P3 will come in. P3 is very important. In fact, this company itself is about risk management. So I would say here we can easily assume many questions, all topics are coming from P3, right? So board of directors, we have studied about this in corporate governance in P3. We'll revise during our revision class for P3 about this. Then board responsibilities. Any company is as good as their board. So what the board is doing, how they are working, all of those. Then Saefwell's principal risk, what risk we are facing, what mitigation we are doing. We have to go beyond that. Then extract from competitors' financial statements. We need to compare how the competitors are doing, what actually is happening in there. So that will give you some background about it. If they are growing and we are also growing in terms of revenue, so we can say overall the industry is performing good. But imagine the industry in that particular area is getting saturated. How we can compare that? We can compare that with one of our competitors, which is very close to us. Then extract from, this is done, share price history. You have to see how share price has been, kind of performing over the period. Because being a listed company, usually we have shareholders, and shareholders expect two things from us. What are they? First is increasing share price, that is the capital gain. Then second one is dividend, and dividend we'll see in our financials. This we can revise in F3, that's financial strategy. Then the pre-scene will end with the news stories, where you have the blogs, the questions and answers, and some news articles. These news articles a lot of time give you a hint. What can be asked? What is the important aspect in the pre-scene? Okay, so let's get started. So the most important part in any CIMA pre-scene is introduction. A lot of times we end up undermining it. People think, oh, it's just two paragraph. No, for students, this is the most important. If you understand this properly, the entire pre-scene becomes easier. I would say this itself will give you an idea of 40 to 50% about the pre-scene, about the industry, what questions they are asking. So today's video will try to start with introduction. Let's get started. Saefwell. Saefwell is a quoted company that offers advice and support on corporate security and enterprise risk management. So many things. First, quoted company. So being a quoted company will have a lot of advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, maybe, raising about finance, you have better reputation, marketability of shares, you can issue bonds. What kind of disadvantage or downside? More scrutiny you have. You have to have board of directors, you need to mandatory have the committees prescribed by the corporate governance, then you need to follow the share price. All of this becomes very important being a quoted company, and your scrutiny becomes high. So we'll have the advantages plus we'll have the disadvantages. Going forward, that offers advice and support. There are two things: advice and support on corporate security enterprise risk. First, we'll discuss the word advice and support. So advice is something is more of consulting. Let's say I am now advising you study this, study that. That is normal that we give to all CIMA students. But support is basically when you work with them. Let's say our full-time student at Keystone, if somebody joins, we support them. We not only advise them, helping them to come up with the risk, helping them to do the analysis, look at the important topics, like that. In security company, advice means they can tell you, these are the risk areas. You need to put a internal controls for that. You need to have a risk management policy for that. Whereas when it comes to support is like you're, working with them. You're having, let's say if they need physical security, we have our employees working with them, right? Or we are working in hand. It can be also a kind of strategic partnerships. Right? So we are doing advising also, support also. So you might have a categories of clients which are in advising, which are in supports. On corporate security and enterprise risk management. So corporate security is not only about physical, but obviously it start with physical first. So corporate security, we can talk about physical security of our asset, our data centers, our employees at work area, our machineries, whatever the industry the business is operating. Secondly, enterprise risk management. So ERM framework, this is coming from P3, risk management. So ERM framework is generally designed for internal risk. Internally, what an organization can do, how it will work, how it will operate. So enterprise risk management is more of a proactive approach. For example, we'll find out all the principal risk. Sometimes companies use a risk register to find out. Then we'll try to put controls, responsibility, and everything. So this enterprise risk management, there are so many companies doing it. Even if you go to financial consultancies or companies like Big Four, they can also help you with the risk management. But the corporate security comes different. Physical security, like I gave you the example of G4S, prosecutors. These are people who are primarily or more focused on physical security. So this ERM is different. Okay. The company offers a number of different services ranging from the provision of security guarding to consulting on ERM. So when we say provision, that means we are supporting. The physical security we are providing is more about the support, whereas the advice can be part of consulting. So we might have certain clients who are taking advice and support, certain clients who are just taking advice. For any business, it will be good that you have advice, then ultimately continue that client for support, right? Consultancy's activities range from advising on systems to counter security threats. What is threat? Threat is something which is external and obviously which can be a disadvantage for the business. One more meaning of threat we can say is something which has not happened. If something has happened, we'll say the word situation or a problem occurred, things like that. But threat is something which is perceived, which is about to happen or which can happen. That is a threat, both physical and cyber. Now, in today's world, the cyber threat is increasing comparatively to the physical threats. So companies need to be vigilant, even if it is financial, even it is with the individual. A lot of time the data from social media can be stolen and misused. We have now artificial intelligence, people are misusing the images. You might have seen that in the news articles, deep fakes, all of this are becoming common. So this CIMA exam is not only about what we study in three pillars. A lot of times some people will say, okay, you do this pillar, that pillar. We believe it's important to revise, but what we do here is we try to go beyond that. We try to focus on the entire business. Your role is limited to a senior manager, but you need to think like a CEO. You own the business. You're reporting to the board, every aspect of the business, to the provision of security threats, both physical and cyber, to the provision of intelligence and investigations intended to address evolving threats. So it's a continuous process, just like risk is a cycle. Risk cycle, when you talk about enterprise risk management, it's a cycle. Same thing here, when you're talking about security threats, whether it's physical or cyber, it works in cycle. Cycle means you have to review, redo, and ultimately keep on improving, because the risk will change, the modes will change, the people will change, what they need from the companies will change, and the type of industry we are doing, it will change. Let's say a company like Prosegur, which they do cash logistics. Cash logistics is one of their major business in India, right? They'll go to ATM and put the cash in. So there they'll need different type of expertise or employees training compared to somebody who is working on physical security outside any manufacturing facilities. Right, when manufacturing facilities, even you have to look for a fire or any other incident which can be internally caused as well. So you'll not allow employees to carry certain things. You'll have a different protocols to follow for that, right? Okay. Then you are a senior manager in Saefwell's finance function. Who is a senior manager? Senior manager is someone who is reporting to the board, or in some words we can say vice president finance. What can happen in your companies or in real world, sometimes senior manager, that post is given to person who is at the middle level. It depends on the organization, but according to CIMA, the organization is divided into three sectors: a strategic level, middle level, that is management level, and operational level. Now you are at senior manager, means you are at the top level. Whatever decisions you will be taking, you have to think from the entire business perspective. Like here, whatever you do will affect the Saefwell. Let's say if we have 10,000 employees, so entire 10,000 employees will be affected by your decisions. So you have to be very careful about all stakeholders, internally, connected, and external. However, we'll share with you this what senior manager role CIMA is expecting. It's available in exam blueprint. Also, you can get from there. We have roles and responsibilities of senior finance manager. And if we are confident with that, we'll have questions also similar to that in the exam. You report directly to the board and advise on special projects and strategy matters. So when you're reporting directly to the board, you have to understand that board members are not expert in finance. So no need to show a lot of financial terms, or if you're talking about IFRS, you don't need to mention what IFRS number it's. No. Just need to mention what, why, how. For example, let's say we are acquiring a new company, we are going into a different country. So what we are doing, why we are doing, how, what will the mode of finance. This type of things they will be more interested, not on theoretical aspect. Why? Because theoretical aspect is already been tested in individual papers of F3, E3, and P3. In fact, if you see examiner's report, one of the reason why student fail the exam is for rote writing. They'll just copy paste something from the textbook, something from the pre-seen note. Here you'll get marks based on the application. Okay. Then next, advise on special projects and strategic matters. These are the two most important things. First, if I talk about strategic matters is something which is normally happening in the business, which is a normal matters at a strategic level, at the top level. What can it be? For example, how much dividend to pay, you have to decide every year. How much remuneration to pay, you have to decide. What bonuses you are planning for, how you'll manage the stakeholders, how much gearing you want to put in, debt to equity ratio. These are normal issues what we face in the business. Then special projects, the word special and project itself is something which we are doing, which should have a start date, end date, all that, the future time, cost, quality. Special project, they are referring to something which you are doing beyond strategic matters, which is not normal for us, which we have not done previously. Let's say we are providing certain services in physical security. Now we have started something, let's say for VIP services. Now we are going business to consumer. We are providing physical security for VIPs or high net worth individual. That can become a special project. But once it is done for the first time, it will be a special project. For the later year, that will become a strategic matters. So you will definitely have questions which is based on special projects and strategic matters. But the good news is, if we understand the pre-scene properly, if we analyze it properly, we'll understand that lot of hints and tips have been given in the pre-scene. So we'll get an idea about it. Okay. Then Saefwell operates on global basis. We are a global company. A lot of companies want to limit themselves to a single country. Why? Because going international comes with a lot of risk. But as we know in business, higher the risk, higher the return. Just to get high return, companies are going globally. And the companies which I give you example, especially G4S, which is based out of UK. So they are present in most of the countries. You can just check if they are working in your country, or you might have experienced or seen them already in different capacity. Right? So being global business will comes with lot of upside and downside, lot of risk and lot of returns as well. So we'll see this in detail when we are doing the risk management subject. With regional offices in several countries. So it's common for companies to have a regional head office. Let's say one head office in UK. If it is based out of UK, they'll have a global office there. Then let's say something in Scotland, something in India, something in Middle East, like that. Its head office is in Barland. So what is Barland? Barland is a fictional country, or we can call it B-land, a developed country that has an active and well-regulated stock exchange. So what do you mean by active and well-regulated stock exchange? How it helps? So this will help us to understand, anything happens in the market, the government body which is controlling this will be very strict, right? Like we have FTSE in UK, Financial Times Stock Exchange. So they'll have their strict regulations. Plus, this can also give a hint that the market is sophisticated. If something happens, let's say there's a rumor also about our company, so share price will react sometime in good, sometime in bad. So we have to be very careful to maintain the share prices. Barland currency is B dollar. So we don't have calculations, but it's good to understand. Let's assume this is equal to a US dollar or a UK pound. So we can compare this to the competitors. We can compare these numbers to the real world companies to see what percentage of revenue you are getting of the total business. Because when you say global business, so how much percentage of revenue you are getting? Based on that, we can say how big the company is. Barland requires companies to prepare their financial statements in accordance with international financial reporting standards. So IFRS again become very important. IFRS is globally accepted now. So being reported in IFRS gives us an advantage. Okay, so we'll discuss this again in F3. So basically, this is how we'll go line by line, analyze it, apply it to the real world scenario. We can even get a lot of gaps in between, which is usually tested in the exams. So once you join the full-time classes at Keystone, we'll be taking you through all of this in the step-by-step manner. Then we'll do with the industry analysis. So what we usually do in our SCS plan is we'll start with the pre-scene analysis, then we'll go with E3, P3, F3. We don't consider this as one paper, but we'll see this as 4 papers. Until your E3, P3 and F3 is strong, we cannot clear this exam. I'm not saying that you need to do the calculation it very thoroughly, but we'll have to do it at least at a decent level. Then you need to look at the real world industry. Then you have to do a lot of mocks. You have to do stakeholder analysis, risk analysis. All of this, when we are done, we are very good to start. So that's it from this introductory video for Saefwell. We have just started today our batch for May exams. If you are interested, please get in touch with me on LinkedIn, or you can visit our website at keystoneacademia.com. Then we'll take it forward from there. Thank you. Good luck.